Many of you are, like myself, are probably wondering why I'm here. I know why I'm here. I'd like to acknowledge the leaf, but also the other leaf, the poppy. And the poppy has different symbolism for me. It's recognizing those who fought in the Boer War, the First World War, the Second World War, and other wars that defend this country without any recognition of our rights. And it wasn't until 1958 that we were considered a Canadian citizen. And all during this time, we were completely legislated out of the Canadian economy and therefore the global economy. And what this opportunity means to us and to First Nations is that for the first time, maybe we'll become part of the solution. So I am Manny Jules, the Chief Commissioner of the First Nations Tax Commission. Many of you are wondering, taxes, First Nations. I get that all the time. And when I first started doing this, I was 6'3". So one of the stories I want to tell you is about the Chinook language. The Chinook language was a trade language spoken from Alaska to California. It talked about trade. And one of the most important words in that language was taxes. T-A-K-S-I-S. So what I want to be able to do is turn back the time when we were legislated out of the economy to use this opportunity to get us back into the economy in a very real way. First Nations view this as an opportunity to participate as they've never had. Unfortunately, when the federal and provincial governments got together last year, we were completely left out of the equation. In 2017. So what I've been advocating is our jurisdiction, First Nations jurisdiction, over our lands and over the issues that concern us so that we can begin to look after ourselves based on the notion of taxes so that we can provide health services, we can provide the services that many of you in here take for granted. If you don't, you're going to end up with the same situation as we've got with the tobacco trade. Tobacco trade was our plant. When it was first introduced by Columbus, within 200 years, you couldn't find any place in the world without tobacco. But at the same time, what it's done to our people is it literally has criminalized some members of our community. I don't want to see that happen. I don't want to see gray marketeers. I want to be able to see our people participating in the global economy. We're not asking for special rights. Because this is an excise tax, everyone pays it, including First Nations. What we want is the jurisdiction so that we can contribute to the betterment of our lives. We want to be part of the Canadian Federation, not being excluded from a very important initiative that's literally going to create trillions of dollars worth of revenue over many, many years. I look forward to working with the federal government, the Senate, and also the provincial governments, but more importantly, First Nation governments right across the country who need the jurisdiction. And right now, because of the way the Excise Tax Act was written, the way Health Canada has interpreted, we're left completely out. So what you've got on Indian reserves right across the country is the lack of First Nations jurisdiction. In the words of Justin Trudeau, we're supposed to be his most important client. But what I heard was a resounding silence when it came to First Nation jurisdiction. That has to change. We have shown the only way to advance these issues is through optional legislation on a national basis. Supporting First Nation cannabis jurisdiction brings us a step closer to getting rid of the Department of Indian Affairs, and the 19th century creations set up at the time of the telegraph. He's talking about the introduction of the iPod in 2001. We have to operate under legislation that was designed in 1867. Absolutely wrong for this country. Being part of the G7, we're still part of the poorest people in this land, which was ours. What we want to do is work with everyone in this room and the governments to achieve what my ancestors talked about, which was let's work together so that each of us will be great and good. Thank you.